Hey, kia ora everybody. Welcome to Point of View. This is your monthly podcast talking about what's coming up in movie theatres and on streaming here in Aotearoa. My name's Tom Augustine. We have a great show for you today. We've got Darren Bevan in the office. We've been trying to get Darren for ages. He's an amazing critic. Darren's World of Entertainment, one of the long-running critical kind of sites, blogs in the New Zealand film scene. So we're going to be talking about the beginning of blockbuster season and some of the really, really interesting titles approaching this month. So stay tuned. Darren Bevan has been doing this film criticism game for a good 30 years now.
Yeah, getting on like that. Thanks. That's why I've brought the grey in as well.
Look, I'm right there with you, brother. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Darren is obviously the critic of Darren's World of Entertainment. I see him at almost every film critic screening that I go to. One of the most knowledgeable brains about film in this country, so I'm really, really stoked to be sitting down with you. Finally, we've been working on this for a while.
Yeah, what was it, $20 I paid you to say that?
Yeah. Thanks for the boost. I need it. So we're going to be talking about blockbusters today because we're about to head into blockbuster season. Obviously, it's summer over in America soon, so it's starting to ramp up. Obviously, by the time July rolls around with things like The Odyssey and so on, it's going to be in full swing. But we're starting to get the very first blockbusters right now. So let's talk about them.
Yep.
So first on the calendar is one that a lot of people are going to have their eyes on, Devil Wears Prada 2. So this one is the long-awaited sequel of the very, very beloved, which I don't know if it's a rom-com. It's more like just a
Toxic Bosses rom-com, perhaps?
Toxic Boss-com.
Yeah, Boss-com. I'm not sure if this is a new genre.
Yeah, a new genre. And so they've got all the original team back, Anne Hathaway, who seemingly hasn't aged a day, Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, Stanley Tucci. What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure about this one. I think it's one of those, 20 years anniversary of that
Something
coming
like
out?
that,
20
yeah.
years, this is his first one. I think there's a real feeling of a nostalgia blanket comfort creeping into a lot of these films at the moment. Like I said, the toxic boss thing is interesting. The whole modelling on Anna Wintour, and obviously she's had years of insinuations under the table and comments about controversies and stuff. But I think interesting with this, most of the marketing's focused on nostalgia.
Yeah.
You had the first trailer, which was a teaser, which was set to Madonna's Vogue. This latest one looks to have a little bit more plot and idea, but it's still just fashion, darling. People looking good, walking around, and
it feels like it's leaning very heavily on that remember this kind of vibe.
Did you love it then? You'll love it again now.
Yeah.
And we've softened it a little bit because you can't get away with toxic bosses in HR these days. And
I did notice that Anna Wintour was actually in the trailer.
Yeah, and she appeared obviously at the Oscars with Anne Hathaway and did that terribly unfunny sequence where she messed her thoughts of someone else. But I don't know. I'm interested by it. Like the main takeaway from the trailer I got was this sequence with Meryl Streep and Miranda Priestley saying to Anne Hathaway's character, "I do hope that's not what you're wearing out," which gave me sort of very passag mum sort of vibes. And I feel like they've softened a little bit of that approach, and there's obviously been the controversy as well with the press tours and Anna Wintour posing with Meryl Streep for Vogue as well.
Yes, right.
And just people feeling like they've gone a lot quieter on it.
Maybe a bit softer, less edge than the original.
But I think it'll still get people through the doors, and people want to see it because they love those characters and the ideas. But whether it'll be the same kind of thing as the Freakier Friday, which came with a blow and a bluster and a big row and then just kind of died away quietly.
Died on the vine, didn't it?
Yeah, I wonder if it'll be a lot of that as well.
Quite possibly. I mean, the trailers really, as you say, aren't giving away a whole lot of plot, but I have seen in discussion online as well, like people comparing it to the look and the feel and the kind of aliveness of that original, how it feels so lived in, and the fashion feels very of the moment, and a lot of it just feels a little bit tired, a little bit underwhelming, I guess, and that comes down to as well the presence of Meryl Streep, who sort of seems to be phoning it in, at least in the trailers a little bit. Did you find that?
There's a bit of that. I think maybe that's part of the character as well.
Possibly.
Yeah, the long in the tooth magazine editor who's having to deal with digital world and advertising problems, and there's some kind of scandal befalling her as well. It kind of, it all feels very passé, and I think maybe that'll be something they'll have to overcome. But I think it'll blow the doors out of the gate at the start of the box office 100%. Season. But it's the long tail for me, whether it stays and lives up to the legacy of what people loved, or just becomes an extension.
That'll be very, very intriguing to see. Speaking of somewhat long in the tooth, we've got the Mandalorian movie also on approach this month, Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, this is the film that's the spun-off from the TV series The Mandalorian within the Star Wars universe. Pedro Pascal, Baby Yoda, everyone knows the deal, I guess. I actually only watched the first couple of episodes of The Mandalorian, and then I kind of opted out, but now it feels like they're pinning a lot of hopes for Star Wars' theatrical future on this one.
Yeah, well, Star Wars, the theatrical future's kind of died in the past because, they'd done the 9 films and that was it, and it all ended. This one, interesting, I do feel relies on the nostalgia again. The opening shot's very much an Apocalypse Now homage with the X-Wings dropping down over the sun and that sort of stuff. And then you have like moments in it where there's characters from the past and droids from the past appears, but it doesn't lean as heavily on it as much as the original films that J.J. Abrams reboot did.
Yes, right.
It feels like it's part, and I think that's possibly where this one will live in a bit more. It feels a bit more lived in. It feels a bit more real. What worries me with this one is that there's a line in it where they talk about how I will take out every villain in your deck of cards, which is like, oh my goodness, is this the start of 13 films where the bounty hunter's tracking down a new villain each time?
Yeah,
and
totally.
I don't know that I want that.
No.
I really like the pulpy sort of sci-fi look of this, the 50s feel, the Rocket Man, Rocketeer kind of approach, and Baby Grogu was an internet sensation.
It's timeless.
Yeah, and they've taken off the helmet so Pedro Pascal, the internet's daddy, can be seen this time as well.
Can be present, yes.
So I think it's going to hit a lot of boxes, but I'm interested to see where it goes and what it means for the future of Star Wars, because the Star Wars universe has always been a wider canvas than has been painted on the screen. There's books, there's comics, there's games, there's all kinds of worlds that have been never fully explored before, and we've always come back to those main ones, and I think
absolutely.
This is the way that's going to go for the future, I think. This is the way, as the Mandalorian says.
Absolutely. Without going too far down like a rabbit hole on this, it is interesting to me, that thing you say about how it has always seemed to me like this is a galaxy of stories, and the backlash to way back when, going back to like The Last Jedi, when that offered up the story that was out, like suggested paths beyond the Skywalker mythos, and there was this huge reactionary kind of thing to it, and then there was The Rise of Skywalker, which was in a lot of ways a retcon, and I think a lot of enthusiasm has dwindled because of that, and so it will be interesting to see if audiences will go and watch something in that universe beyond that Skywalker world.
Yeah, well, it's interesting as well that, my dad, who's in his late mid-70s, wants to see this film. My son, who's a teenager, wants to see this film. I'm in my 50s and I want to see this film. So it's spanning generations, which I think the original Star Wars did, and then it started to lose track of that. And it's fascinating to me that they're pulling back on that and going, actually, how can we go broad but also try and satiate people? Because every kid had Star Wars toys. I had Star Wars toys. Every kid who had those toys had their own universe in their mind that they writ large within their own world. And it's really fascinating to sort of see that develop out and blow out.
Absolutely. I like what you say about the comic serial kind of element to it, like from the 50s and stuff. That's a really good direction for it, I think. So that will be interesting to see. Now we've also got another sequel, one with Kiwi in the lead, Karl Urban in Mortal Kombat 2. You know what? The trailer looked like a bit of fun, and I am a fan of Karl Urban. I will be watching. What are your thoughts?
Are you a gamer?
Not really.
Yeah, see, I'm a bit of a gamer head as well, you know. I wear glasses, I'm into films and games. I'm intrigued by this one, but I'm not hopeful about it. It looks cornball, looks terrible, despite, you know...
Certainly looks cornball.
Yeah, despite Carl bearing in it and the gentleman from Shogun as well.
Yes.
Giving it a bit of gravitas. It's still just a fight and beating 'em up film, and some of the choreography and the fight sequences in that trailer, they're just hokey. It looks like wire work, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, Carl's been kicking some serious ass in The Boys, so he's got the chops for it, and he was sensational in Dread all those years ago.
Absolutely. It's nice to see him have a bit of a moment, I suppose.
Yeah. I think he's had a moment for years, and I don't think he's always had quite the right roles for this.
Yes.
And I don't know whether this Johnny Cage role will be the one for him.
It will be interesting. It will be interesting to see whether because Johnny Cage obviously has like a lot of that kind of charismatic Hollywood guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as he's gotten a little bit older, and like The Boys is a good example, he's leaning into that more rugged kind of thing.
Although he's got perfectly coiffed hair in this trailer, it's incredible.
He does. It's
incredible
quite
look. But I don't know. For me, this is one of those trailers that doesn't give too much away, but also says a lot as well about it. And you know, you've had The Devil Wears Prada doesn't wear too much of show too much of that in the story in the trailer. Yeah. And I wonder if there's a reticence that really this is just a fight film at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you know, Mortal Kombat, the game's renowned for its legendary over-the-top vicious kills where people rip spines from heads and one thing and another. I don't know how they're going to get away with that on screen, and if they sanitize it, it'll alienate the fan base.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
if they go too far, it won't get the broad audience that they want.
It will be very intriguing to see. Hopefully it will be better than the first one anyway, which was pretty dire.
I've completely forgotten all about the first one as well.
All I remember was coming out of it and going, man, that was pretty dire. This month we actually have a few anniversaries as well of big blockbusters of the years past, so maybe we should talk about those as well briefly. So because they are coming back to theatres, we've got Bridget Jones, Shrek and Top Gun, all very different blockbusters, but all very kind of revealing about the things that become blockbusters, I think.
Yeah, and also all blockbusters of their time. Like it's hard. Bridget Jones has never really managed to repeat the success of the first. And the later films have been indulgent, I think, and kind of even original fans of Helen Fielding's work have felt that they've just kind of stepped away from it. Shrek, I'm fascinated by.
Yeah, same.
Like, it looks dated in terms of some of the animation and parts, but it's got a heart and a humour to it that
it has such a fascinating script, like a very strong script. Yeah. Which I think, you know, there has been a lot of talk about how American animation in the modern day has kind of taken a bit of a dive. There hasn't been the strength of those, like that kind of heyday of the early CGI classics like Shrek, Toy Story, Ratatouille, etc. And I think it comes back to the scripting, the scripts being so nailing the zeitgeist, having the references that feel topical but not tired, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think with those films that you mentioned, they are timeless. You can watch them time and time again. They're not the films where you're looking for the Easter eggs. They're the films where pieces are inserted in, but it feels organic rather than forced, like, oh, here's a nod to Toy Story 2 or that kind of wider universe. And, you know, Shrek was the first film that everyone wandered around thinking they could do a Scottish accent, shouting donkey and all that sort of stuff. And
absolutely.
You know, but, I mean, Donkey's Eddie Murphy's character is still incredibly annoying. Incredibly annoying.
You're a donkey hater?
Well, I think so, a little bit. But I think it's nice to have these kind of broad family films that come back, and I could quite happily sit down and watch this again.
I think people will be coming along to see Shrek. It wouldn't surprise me to know that it gains some sort of second, third, fourth life.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Top Gun is this was a fourth or fifth re-release.
I feel like there's always a re-release of Top Gun going on.
I don't know how Tom Cruise does it, but
people love that. People love that movie. It's not my Tom Cruise movie at all. I'm much more of a I guess probably just the era that I was growing up was more like Mission Impossible and War of the Worlds and that kind of era.
It's very much a Tom Cruise redemption arc and very much that kind of story where he's the hero and he has to undergo. It's the everyman appeal. He gets the girl at the end and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of fantasy stuff in a real different way. But it's,
I mean, Top Gun is in many ways a fantasy. It's a very like macho, semi-homoerotic Navy, big ad for the Navy, but also it's very, very fulfilling and fun, and Tony Scott directs the hell out of it, you know.
Yeah, and that's why Maverick had the shirtless scene with the guys playing the volleyball. Made us all shrink back in our chairs.
Absolutely. Yeah, quite shocking. Also coming up in May, outside of the big blockbusters, we have quite a full month of quite interesting titles, so let's jump into them. To begin with, we have two very interesting New Zealand films. We have Sergeant Hane, which is a documentary about the Māori battalion. Looks very, very interesting, about a very, very kind of important period in New Zealand history, timed roughly around Anzac Day. We also have The Weed Eaters, which was at the film festival last year. It is a micro-budget, independently produced, very funny, very kind of in the vein of classic New Zealand splatter horror, well worth going out to and supporting local. Very, very cool film. Also coming up in this month, we have a concert film, which I wouldn't usually talk about, but it has the involvement of one James Cameron. That's Billie Eilish in 3D, and that is a concert film about the great Billie Eilish in 3D, and James Cameron's involvement makes it an interesting collaboration. It'll be interesting to see what they do together. We also have a comedy that kind of is in the vein of something like Babe, which we haven't seen for a long time. It's a film called The Sheep Detectives. Now, every time this trailer has played in cinemas, I sense a lot of derision, a lot of derisive laughter around me in the theatre. Listen, it's starry, it looks fun, there's cute animals, I love Babe. Will it live up to that? Probably not, but I'm trying to keep an open mind. Another New Zealand film later in the month, Caterpillar. Now, I've seen this film. This one's from Chelsea Preston Crayford. It's semi-autobiographical, talking about her life growing up as the daughter of Gayleen Preston, the great Gayleen Preston. But it's not just about that. It's a family drama between three generations of women. Very well acted, very powerful drama in there. Really good one to take your mum to around Mother's Day. Now, there's another story about mothers, but not quite in the same way. Mother Mary. This one is about a pop star. Kind of seems to be modelled around like someone like Lady Gaga. Starring Anne Hathaway, who is pulling double duty this month as a songwriter who, as a pop star who pays a visit to her longtime songwriter, and some kind of weird shit starts to happen after that. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. David Lowery is the director. He's a very, very good filmmaker, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Now, Obsession is a horror film that I'm very, very interested in. This one is about a teenage boy who makes a wish that the girl he's pining after loves him forever, and it's a true be careful what you wish for story. Apparently this is quite gruesome, quite violent, and quite scary. It's gotten quite good reviews, so it'll be interesting to see. It looks like it touches on some very interesting kind of sore topics out there in the world at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. A Private Life was at the film festival last year as well. Jodie Foster speaking French, and it is a kind of very old school, almost Agatha Christie-esque mystery. A lot of fun. Getting towards the end of the month, we have I Love Boosters. Boots Riley has come back after Sorry to Bother You. This is his first film in many, many years. It looks like it has that same sort of cartoonish, colourful, semi-radical kind of political lens, and it's got a great cast. It looks quite funny. The trailer was great, so I'll be very, very interested to see how that looks. There's also a very intriguing film coming to us from A24, Backrooms. Now, this film is made by a young filmmaker who I believe is in his very early 20s, and it's inspired by a video game or some sort of internet web series, or an internet video game, about these kinds of weird liminal spaces that are found behind a shop, a wall in a shop. And the kind of mysteries that lie within. But it's very, very starry. It's got Chiwetel Ejiofor and the great Renata Reinsve. It will be interesting to see. The trailer was very promising, so it'll be interesting to see if this one can be pulled off. So a lot of horror, a lot of interesting New Zealand films, and of course the beginning of blockbuster season. So it's a very, very full month of May for cinema. 7th of May on Rialto Channel at 8:30 p.m. there is the exclusive premiere of Twiggy, the documentary about the great fashion icon of the 60s. Now this one showed at the British Irish Festival last year, I believe, but it has not come back since, so it's very, very exciting to be able to clap eyes on this. It's the story of someone who became the face of a generation, a fashion icon, a very, very important figure in the industry, and it's a very, very well made, very interesting documentary, so do tune in for that on Rialto Channel. That's Thursday, 7th of May at 8:30 p.m. That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for being here with us at Point of View. We'll be back next month for more about what's coming up in cinemas, what's coming up on streaming, and we'll be talking to some very cool guests as well. So stay tuned for that, and thank you so much for being here. Ka kite.